Yeah, TikTokers wanatumia kuku za black, wanapeleka kwa mchawi. Will always be feeding mchawi na hiyo kuku, na zikiisha they come for your blood because it is feeding blood. Na anywhere kwenye kuna ritual ya portal opening kulikuwa na blood shed. I am not a devil worshipper. I cannot worship the devil because the devil does not belong here. He belongs to hell, and here is not hell. This represents my life path and my purpose. Each bead here is an affirmation, and hapo ndio nikaanza ku doubt everything, as in how would a pastor do this to me? And I stopped even loving people, especially religious people.
Hello Tuko family. Today we are having a very interesting conversation with someone who has truly a unique take on spirituality. Her name is Moyo. You might have seen her on social media talking about all things traditional and spirituality. But today, for the first time, she has agreed to come and share with us her journey to where she is right now. If you ask me, I would say take your time and understand everything that is said right here today and be the judge. Welcome to today's episode of Tuko Talks. My name is Yvonne Kawira. Karibu sana Moyo.
My name is Wamoyo Kimotho. That is my ID name.
Yeah.
My spiritual name is Moyo, the intuitive empath. So Wamoyo Kimotho and Moyo are two different characters. Yeah. Moyo is this social girl, blah blah blah. I mean Wamoyo. Moyo is a very old soul in a young girl's body.
How do you know this?
Now that is the gift that is very special about me.
Mm-hmm.
The gift is I'm able to recall my past and to foretell so much, because life is endless. Na experiences zile ziliwahi kuwa past mingi zinarioka in now times way. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So spiritual people know you can unaweza kuwa connected to your past.
Have you always been like this? Ama ilifika point after you were born, you grew up, ukaanza kudiscover there's something different about you?
I was born gifted. In our community kuna vitu zinaitwa mbogo. Mbogo ni either mtoto anazaliwa ameshika hizo mbogo ama ziko kwa mdomo. Mimi zilikuwa zimejaa kwa mdomo. Alright, so I was born gifted, and my parents nurtured that gift.
Mm-hmm. How has your childhood been? Ulikuwa ukistruggle na anything?
I sikuwahi fit kwa any group because I'm from Molo. Molo ni wakale.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very short, so hawakuwahi ni accept. So I grew with my dad, me and my dad everywhere. Niko na my dad because my mom was a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alikupeleka church, alikuintroduce kwa Christianity?
My mom was a Catholic and my dad was not. So my mom alikuwa anataka niende kipaimara hizo za Catho. And my dad will tell me, choose between uko and I taking you kwa mstuni tukatafute ABCD, and I'll choose kugo kwa mstuni. And my mom was okay with that, but I used to sing. And hiyo kanisa ya kina mama yangu kukakuwa bishop anakuja wa Catholic Peter Cairo, and I sang very well. Nilimbaga sana mpaka nikapewa hiyo kipaimara kama sijasoma hizo story. Alright, and kukakuwa na a white father alikuwa anaitwa Father Martin. Alikuwa ananipenda. I used to get these favors. Huyo father, si unajua uko ushago unapika kuku ya kienyeji mukimo unapewa. Alikuwa anapewa hivi ananipea. Kwa mama sasa pia wakunipenda. Lakini I managed to grow up well because my parents protected me. I'm a last born, na sistangu mwenye tumeachana ni older kidogo, so they took care of me. Nikiwa maybe kitu 6 years walikuwa campus. So pia sikukuwa kwa environment, siko safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. At what point did you realize that this is deeper, much deeper than you anticipated, or maybe your people also?
When I realized that it's everything ni funny is after I got pregnant through rape. Alafu I singeambia mtu.
How old were you?
I was very young. Very young. So nilikuwa teen something. Naona sasa wakati nilirepiagwa nikapata hiyo ball, mimi sikusema na sikujua juu already I've lost my dad and we were close. Yani kila kitu tu imeenda na funny and the person I approached was a person that walikuwa close family friends, na alikuwa ananiambia ni nacha bla bla bla. So huyo mtu akaniitanga siku moja Kikuyu, na alikuwa pastor. Kuniita Kikuyu, alikuwa ananiambia nataka nimprintie vitu hivyo. So I went there na nikampataga akiwa naked. Sasa mimi nikasikia vibaya sana, but bado akarudia hiyo shughuli. Unaona, na nilikuwa weka mimba, kalikuwa kakubwa na kaficha. I think ako katoto kakakufiaga ndani ya tumbo. Cause ilifika mahali niko kwa pain and I told my sister called Lillian. Nikamwambia mimi niko hivi na hivi, and they took me to hospital. They took care of me. I love my sisters. And hapo ndio nikaanza ku doubt everything, as in how would a pastor do this to me? And I stopped even loving people, especially religious people, because wakati niliendaga hiyo hospitali, ule daktari alinitibu, aliniambia wewe msichana, na alikuwa amevaa rosary, umependa, and then akatumia a very inappropriate word, mpaka yani nika feel like everybody is very mean. So I took myself on a very isolated path, ile ya kujielewa, like kuelewa ni nini ina happen. And hapo ndio nikaanza kupata episodes za what is unfolding in my life, and I should never think at any point life is a punishment, because in my despair good people will talk to my ears, it is well. Hata ninakuwa nimeandika sana it is well, hata even kwa nyumba yangu kuna tu it's well twingi, and that is what I grew up with. Mpaka sasa ikafika nimegrow kwa na social media, nimejua kuna watu different, kuna hadi Wahindi, kuna nini hivyo. And then sasa nikaamua ku come out and teach the African way.
Nani alikuintroduce kwa hii teaching?
Hakuna, ni mimi. Unaona, let me tell you what happens. Unaona kama venye unaweza enda choose a course kama biology ama hizo courses. Mimi nilifunguaga TikTok. Kufungua TikTok, but mimi ninajua herbs. Najua itakuwa mimea hii itakuponyesha tumbo. So I had a small page Facebook kanaitwa wa moyo mujiro wa Bariagari nika Kikuyu, and then I used to go to Nice TV to teach Kirira. Alright, I met this guy kwa hiyo group, hiyo page yangu, akaniambia I have niko na hii TV station, unaweza kujanga teach about the African spirituality kidogo in Gikuyu. Nika teach kidogo hivyo, alafu sasa nikajua kumbe can. Unaona, but ni kama sasa nikwambie what I think, unaniambia come to my studio, say something. So nika teach Nice TV 2021, 2022 nika open TikTok yangu. Watu wakakosa kunielewa, si kukufa moyo, nikazidi mpaka sasa hii niko at least na flow.
Ukisema watu walikosa kukuelewa, unamaanisha nini?
One, when people see this mark, this is an African cross. It's called an ankh. And the difference between the Msalaba cross is that is a cross of death. That is where Jesus Christ was alisulubiwa hapo. The energy it gives is the energy of, this is an ankh. This is the feminine part. This is the womb. So if this is the womb, there is creation. The womb creates. So ikiondolewa, it becomes death. All right. Watu wengi wako wanajua this cross ankh. Unaona? So everybody alikuwa anasema look at her. Nilikuwa dini nyingine na look at her. Look at the profile. Look at her profile. Huyu ni Shindwe, ni agent. And I had to tell people something. The devil is only found in the Bible, where Jesus Christ is found, and the church. In African spirituality, we have right and wrong. Sai ukitoka hapa nje upitie kwa barabara katikati, hautaekewa hiyo makosa, utagongwa na gari hata uko na kola ya pasta. It is right and wrong, all right? In this case, it is sin and punishment and righteousness. But whatever is offered kwa hii dunia, kuna any righteous man, all right? So, hii pia ni kitu ilifanya wasinielewe. And then coming out and saying, Jesus Christ is an energy that is meant to mislead Africans. Watu walini attack sana hawakuelewa.
Why do you say that?
I say that because African way of worship is through the hierarchy of being, from the creator, the divinities, spirits, ancestors. That is hata mlisoma history. So it means from me, 100 years from now, you will be an ancestor. Would you want the generation you're working for right now, we could deny to a foreign mother? When a black child is born, an ancestor is back. Sikwenye mnaniniwigi hivyo hata kwetu. So when you tell me to pray to God of Abraham, what about God of my forefather, now the Kimotho name? And we are our ancestors. So wakuelewa, because I'm teaching in English and maybe ningeteach na makabila zenyu.
Ulilanaje hii information yote?
I was born knowing that every child is woke. Ndio maana mtoto akiwa kwa womb ana kupea urge hadi ya mchanga, because you're connected to the soils. All right? That child is woke. Na anakuwa akiwa woke mtoto mjanja sana until mumuoko ya mamumbatize. Everything changes.
You keep mentioning the word woke. What does that mean? Because a lot of people talk about that.
Let me tell you what spiritual awakening is. Spiritual awakening is not being righteous. It is not being kind. It is not being... Spiritual awakening is realizing what type of a spirit you are. Realizing who you are. Na even unaweza realize you are a bad one. So the purpose of awakening is realizing who you are, and either you make your ways right, ama you just enjoy in the land of the living. Otherwise, life is not a punishment.
Katika hii doctrine, you're saying you teach people about spirituality, especially in the traditional way, the African way. Is it only in the Agikuyu way, or how do you do
Black child, the Ndomana,
right.
I've never done in Agikuyu. It is, and then me being able to remember my past. Sijakuanga an Agikuyu forever. I've been in hata wewe, everybody amekuwa kwa different phases. Do you know your life path number defines ama tells you how many lives you've lived?
So for example, how many lives have you been?
Mimi African way life path number 33. In the gazette calendar ya mzungu life path number 5, meaning I've lived for 5 lives.
How do you find that out?
You calculate your date of birth, your month and year. Unaona sai ile day ulizaliwa kulikuwa na vitu tatu very powerful. There is the stars, the moon and the sun. All right? And you are a star enye ili rule that day. Na hizo ndio wazungu wanaita zodiac signs. Hata ukikuwa sai uangalie up there uone a shooting star, that is you. That is an energy that matched yours. But we are not taught this in church.
How did you get to the point where now you feel this information should be out there? What pushed you to start spreading?
After nilienda Nest TV, nikahama Nairobi, nikaenda Nanyuki. And when I went to Nanyuki, nikaenda mahali Mount Kenya-ish. One day nikafanya video nikaambia watu see Mount Kenya. And then when I did that video, nikaambia watu angalia Mount Kenya, I started talking about the power of Mount Kenya. Hivyo tu. Inakuwa every day tunaenda hapo rooftop. Every day something new come. Even today tunaendaga live asubuhi. Venye to the positioning of the sun, maybe the moon, we get what we have to say ama to tell the sun, the moon, yeah. So si kitu ati unasoma ama unapanga. One day tulikuwa tuko live tunaongea ile we are listening to ourselves, meditating. I teach people. In fact, watu wenye walianza na mimi tumesonga sana kusoma. I got something that we always do at noon. At noon we own our power. And hiyo tu owning our power imeleta a very beautiful energy juu at noon kila mtu anajua this is me owning my power. Hiyo time the shadow is pointing at you. So it is from the sun, the giver of the shadow, to me, and then to the grounds where our riches are. Unajua the soils are rich even. Why? Because even the best minerals physically zinatoka kwa the soils. Sido inatengenezwa na copper, hizi zingine miti, that is in physical, but spiritually, even our own ancestors' blood fell into our soils. So we are the ones to wear the victory. Even the skies themselves bless the soils. So they bow to her and bless even with the rains, because this is where our riches are. So I teach people how to connect to the soils of where you are. Sasa wakati nilianza kuteach watu about connecting to the soils of where you are, ama where you're born, hapo sasa ndio walianza kuelewa.
Kuna watu watakuja waseme all this information that you have, the power of the sun, the soil, everything, this is cultish. What do you have to say about that?
But it is not a cult. As long as mimi nitatoka na newborn wangu nimwambie nisimpeleke kwa sun of God or SON, nimpeleke kwa sun SUN, hiyo ni logic. Wewe kukikosa jua, ask people wenye wanakuwa Germany wakati wanakaaga bila jua, they become pale, they don't harvest. The sun is the masculine power.
So who do you worship?
Mimi, the creator of everything, not the creator of Adam and Eve. Huyo ni wa hiyo dunia. Mimi, I worship the creator who owns everything, including you, the sinner, and you who think you're righteous.
But you're just describing the creator, God, the creator who indeed created everything.
There is the biblical God. Do you know the biblical God didn't create any other planet apart from Earth?
He created everything.
Everything on Earth. Bible iko everything on Earth. You know that everything on Earth. It's all my Bible power. But we have Mercury, Venus, Jupiter is the biggest.
So who do you think created all these other planets?
Now the creator who owns even your God, your biblical God. Yes. Ni kama nikueleze vizuri. Ni kama a body. Everybody is a universe, all right? This body is mine. It makes moyo. Ukweli, I have eyes, nose, kila kitu. But I have cells. What if kwa hizo cells zimenemiana? You know everything communicates. Nitajua na ziko ndani yangu. But mwenye ako kwa hako ka cell group anajua, maybe hata ni yeye God wa huko. But mimi, the owner of the body, I'll just feel when the cells are not okay. But I'll not say cell inaitwa Ivoni nauma. It is exactly the same thing. Ati our creator created everything. That is our source. And out of whatever he created, out of everything that is in this universe, kunakuwa na tumiungu. Every kama unaona, and these are not creators, these are divinities. Even the biblical God is a divinity. The Agekoyo Ngai is a divinity. Where kwenye mnaita Murungu is a divinity. But the creator si mtu. Alright? It is an energy yenye alipea every planet. Kama mimi venye niko na tutoto Kila katoto kako na energy ya mom, but they are not me.
In your opinion, where do you think you will end up after you die?
Not even my opinion. This is what happens when people die, all right? Of course, it is very clear even sahi hata wasipokuzika uwekwe pale, the soul shall receive you, you shall decompose. So hata wakinieka hapa, but my spirit shall forever be spirit. Haina, it doesn't have a body, it is this. So I'll forever be. How many times do you talk about someone you loved and they died? We don't forget them because their spirits are around us, all right?
You don't think there's a repercussion to how you lived your life that determines where your soul eventually
that
ends
is
up?
a church ideology whereby, and I think it doesn't make sense ati ndio maana mimi husema life is not a punishment. I was created unknowingly. I am the sperm that won. Alafu along the way I get a life that I don't know what it is. I get a path that aligns with me, and you tell me I'll be punished because of a path that makes me happy. That is not God. I mean, that is not the energy of the creator. That is an energy of a punisher.
There's been talks of people opening portals and accessing things they are not supposed to access. How does that come about?
All right. Opening a portal is allowing different spirits to rule you.
First of all, is that a safe thing to involve yourself in?
No, it is not. Portals are dangerous. Na wewe huwezi jifungulia a portal ama mtu mwingine hawezi. Hizi portals zinafunguliwa na very gifted people. And in this case, ama in this generation, watu wenye wanakulead ama watu wenye wanakupush kufungua portals are lying to people. They are going to be very wealthy and very rich. So you open a portal and sacrifice your womb. Yeah, this portal will be feeding on your menses. I talked about a certain mzungu who is buying used pads. Yes, ananunua pads, anatengeneza a certain drink, anawekea vijana, and then hata kama wewe si gay, you will forever act like a woman. Alright, so hizi vitu zinafunguka funnily, vitu funny, hata hizo products zinanunuliwa dina juice collars, but you cannot open a portal if you kama hujawezi kufungua portal kama hujawapea ruhusa. And this is what sasa ndio ina happen na watu. You go sign some things, I don't know what you're signing, and then these portals take you to different places. All right, it can take you to a river, it can take you to a forest, it can take you to a desert, anywhere. It can even take you to, inaweza kupeleka kwa isolation, wewe ukae tu solo, but it can take you anywhere. Because right now you're not ruled by you ama your spirit, umeshai trade na another spirit zinakumanipulate. It is exactly kama venye church inafunguliwa mapepo. Mtu aliniroga, niko na kitu inaongea ndani yangu. But saying in our way, wewe ndo unawaruhusu. You give them a go ahead of using you for hizo rituals. Na unabaki uko rich, lakini usipo adhere kichwa inaruka.
Have you seen people?
Yes, I've seen very many people. There is a part I didn't tell you. I'm a healer. Besides everything else, I have the ability to heal. So niko na nimeheal so many mad people. Wako na hiyo mtu ameenda pahali, ametumika, amekubali a portal, you open a replace spirits zake na other spirits, alright, and they take people. Spirit inaweza kutuma hadi Kakamega na huko ukafanya kitu kwa grave ya Rwanda Magere, ziko hivyo. Unaona ati mtu nilijipata sijui wapi na sijui nilifika wapi. These things are real, very real.
Is there a way to undo that opening?
It depends. Unaona spirits ziko na ranks, ni powerful. Kuna pali wezi unaona venye hata hizi vidole hazitoshani, si ndio? Hata the energy with hizo spirits hazikuwagi zimetoshana. Now it depends. Na inaongea na inaambia I'm going to die ama I'm going to is evil. Unaona? So if they start being very loud, kuna vitu ulifaa ufanye na haufanyi. And I discourage people from
from opening the portal.
That is slavery. You will forever feed that spirit. Uliona a trending story ya kuku ya black. TikTokers wanatumia kuku za black, wanapeleka kwa mchawi. Will always be feeding wa mchawi na hiyo kuku. Na zikiisha, una understand? They come for your blood because it is feeding blood. Na anywhere kwenye kuna ritual ya portal opening kulikuwa na blood shed.
Niliona picha yako in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
Kwa river, and you have candles.
Yes.
And some things.
See river. And everybody is confusing hiyo na hiyo river cave.
Kwa sababu unafanya ritual.
Yenye Chebet alisema it was on 8th of August, yeah. On 8th of August 2023 we had 2 full moons. Tunakuwa na 1 moon ndio inaitwa 1 month. Na hiyo ilikuwa inaitwa blue moon. It comes once after 25 years, yeah. And when your bibi harusi mnamcelebrate, the moon is a she. That is why unapata periods na cycle ya moon 28 days. Na the sun is a he, ndio maana men get natural erections asubuhi jua iki. So mimi I was celebrating the blue moon, and those are rituals I do. Hata wewe ukitaka nikusaidia, I'll tell you the power of a candle, the power calabash in our community, ama the pot in our community represents the womb, ama mother, sawa. So if it represents the womb spiritually, so ni lazima ningeenda ku bless my womb. Na hata ukiangalia video ni Mount Kenya. Ni wapi holier than Mount Kenya? I have an altar in Mount Kenya. Na si kama hizo za kimungu za wapi. It is a place where I only go to shower. Hata saa hiyo story yote imekuwa ikitrend. I go and shower with sacred water from my place. I feel so good. Ni kama venye uko na tap yako ukifungulia shower, you feel good. Water is life. So hapo wale misunderstand, na mimi hata sijaifika Kericho. Everybody said at now I understand Chebet. No, those are 2 different places. Chebet was in Kericho and I was in, and yangu ni ya 2023 na Chebet nilimjua juzi. Alright, so and I'm no longer in Nanyuki, but I visit. So see hiyo ni a different one. Yeah. And an African a candle fire element. Hizo sasa mostly kama. But yeah, if you know your path, so if you know your path, you will know what you connect to. I connect to fire so very well. Mimi naweza taka kuwasha bonfire kuliko kwenda swimming on a sunny day. Alright, it is what you connect with.
Mtu mwenye anakuapproach akitaka umintroduce kwa hizi vitu, is there something?
No, I don't introduce anybody to spirituality. When you start wanting ama getting the urge of being woke, it comes naturally from within you.
Is there similar danger in believing in what you believe in? Being
spiritual is very dangerous because most of your time you're communicating to spirits. Wewe you know the kind of spirits that align with you, sindio? Na sahi many things that sisi spiritual people battles ni losing our dream. Do you know it is very dangerous to lose your dream? Because your dream is communication between you and your deities, ama an exaggeration of a thought. And when you are given a message and you lose it because maybe a certain spirit stole it, hiyo ni vita. You become answerable because you didn't complete a certain task. Mimi nimekuwa kwa so much because of that, maybe getting myself kwa raha na sahau, and it is dangerous than hata hizo punishment zenye za siku ya mwisho.
Describe your normal day.
My normal day is I wake up and then I flow with the day. kama like leo nilikuwa nikuje mapema tukakata finance. So me, I flow, but every day I make a manifestation and affirmation.
That's the first
and
thing
I
you do
have
in the morning.
hoodies by. When I wake up, I say I am protected by the skies and provided for by the soils. Grand rising. Life is not a punishment. Those are enough to carry me through the day. And when the sun sets, I smile at him going, and I'm happy. Yeah.
All right. Have you met Chebet physically, personally, not spiritually?
It was on 10th April when I came to Nairobi for my friend's birthday, and on 11th I posted on my status, I am in Nairobi, blah blah blah, and Chebet saw my status. How did she get my contacts? She took my contacts from TikTok and then she sent me a voice note. Akaniambia, Grand Rising, it's such a bit. I like your content. Carry me through this spiritual path. And I said it's alright. So that was on 29th March. On 10th April, I come to Nairobi. On 11th, ananiambia, if I'm in Nairobi, she's in town. Nikamwambia, I'm in Risambu, heading to my friend's place. Akaniambia, please let me come, I want to share something with you. Nikamwambia, let me get to my destination, I send you the pin. So she came. Anybody who knows Tattoo City is a vibe. So she came, she felt nice, akatuambia ana feel kama, so nilikuwa nimekaa na friends wangu, akaniambia ati it's nice meeting you for the first time, meeting your friends. I feel like I don't want to sit kwa kiti, nikae chini kwa floor. Tukamwambia it's alright. Akakaa chini. I think I even took photos. Akakaa chini, alafu akasema anaona kama tushaikuwa na hii meeting tena. And nikamwambia it happens, nothing, when tu nilikwambia nothing is a coincidence. Hivyo alafu tukakula na I left my friend's place, nikaenda sasa kwa mwenye alikuwa ameni host bado, friend yangu Risambu, tukaenda na Chebet. Hiyo jioni hatu kuongea, but alikuwa ananiambia kwake kwa nyumba anasikia masauti sana, niende kwake we clear things ama nisikie kama nitasikia. Sasa unajua nilikuwa nimekuja birthday nini, we went out and tukakunywa na kukanyesha sana, so hakuenda. Tukakaa huko tukarudi wakati mvua ilisha. Sasa Risambu tukakaa kwa asubuhi, akaniambia mwele miko shower, alafu ndio mkute hata nyumba safi, ndio ukuje tukienda na wewe Nakuru, I want you to help me. So nikamwambia it's alright. Akaenda akashawa hivyo. Sisi kufika Kinoo penye nilikuwa nafanya nishuke ni muende, kukanyesha sana, kukanyesha, so hakukuja na mimi sikumchukua, na sasa ikabidi hatuwezi drive off na hiyo mvua ama drive to Nakuru tukarudi. So asubuhi akanipigia akaniambia moyo umeenda? Nikamwambia no, hata tumelala saa hii. Tumelala, we had a night of stories, tumelala saa hii, so maybe tutaenda jioni. Up from there tukuongea tena. Akaniambia, akacheka tu. Sawa basi wacha mimi niende. Na akaenda. We've never talked since then until last week.
What happened?
Last week Chebet akaniandikia message akaniambia, Moyo, I'm sorry. Nikamuuliza Chebet, what's wrong? What have I done? Ama what have you done? Kwa nini uko sorry? Akaniambia, uko sure haujui ni nini? Mimi nikakata simu niangalie kama nimeanikwa nini na trend. Nikakuta siko. Nikamuuliza, now tell me why something happened to you ama what's up? Akaniambia, I'm sorry because I've been having battles. I think I misjudged you. I thought I will do better than you. And nikamwambia it happens. Unaona ukianza hii journey, unaonanga kama kila mtu ajui Kenya anafanya.
Wewe ndio ulimintroduce kwa hii journey?
Alikuwa spiritual from kitambo. Aliniambia she became spiritual from 2017. So nikamwambia, akaniuliza, are you my spirit guide? Nikamwambia, I don't know. But if our paths align, it's alright. So she cried, juu alishinda apologize, na nikamwambia it's alright, you ni sawa. She did that on Sunday. On Wednesday akanipigia asubuhi, akaniuliza, Moyo, kwa nini una apia huko kwetu? Aliniuliza, Moyo, jana ulilala aje? I have the voice notes. Nikamwambia, I really cried. I'm very sad. Hata kwa live watu wameanza kusema mimi ninalia sana. Unaona? Akaniambia, I know why.
She knows why you cry.
Yeah, nikamuuliza why. Akaniambia, you know, yesterday you were here na umbwa za jirani zikaboeka sana mpaka kijana wa jirani akatoka. What did you want? Nikamuuliza, Chebet, mimi nikakuja aje? I don't know. Akaniambia, I don't know if it's subconsciously, but you're here and you're very sad. Na ni kweli, the previous night I had cried so much. Akarudi hiyo day ingine, sasa achana na Wednesday, Thursday asubuhi akaniandikia, akaniombea, why do you keep visiting me? Nimekukosea, najua, nisamehe, lakini juu unasema hujui, siwezi kutrust anymore. Nikamwambia, Chebet, I don't know what is happening, tell me. Akaniambia, nakuja Nakuru na nigoje. Akapanda gari, akakuja na akapost everything. It was on a new moon, I'll never forget. I was in that live. Nilikuwa kwa live yangu, nikasikia amenitag and they're saying nimemweka kwa cult. I called her. Akaniambia, Moyo, I'm coming, we go on live. Hata hizo zote alifanya nikiwa live. Na that evening I did a video ya kueleza watu, Chebet and I hatujaifanya any ritual. Unaona, na ikakuwa hivyo na tukakaa. Sasa ile siku akaniambia niende kwao, nika feel unsafe. Juu ananiambia ati anaona kwa dirisha yake akilala, anaona watu wanamchekelea, ati shisha yake ana drag maneno, hata amuelewi. Mama yake anashinda akimapia, you know, she lost the mother. And I asked her, Chebet, I want you to tell me something. You ever subjected yourself to any ritual with somebody? Ajai nirudishe hiyo swali. You know, because I hata nilimuuliza, am I the one? Akasema alikuwa apply your makeup. Am I the one who applied you the makeup? Ati no, but sauti yako ilikuwa inaniambia hata hujui kupaka makeup.
What do you think was happening?
What I think was happening, ama what is happening is something very dangerous. Akona kwa conflicts, because hata aliniambia, Moyo, kama hujui what is happening, my spirit is really fighting yours. Na akarudi akaniambia kitu very weird on Saturday, the same week ile story ilipuka. Akaniambia ati anasikia sauti yangu kimwambia aombe Agu msamaha. Akaniuliza Agu ni nani? Nikamwambia those are our forefathers. Ati sauti yangu inashinda ikimwambia aombe Agu msamaha, Agu. And I was ready to help her do that, but ajaiweza kuja. Yeah, but spiritually it is a very deep thing. Hata si yangu na yeye, it is deeper than that. Yeah.
Who else does it involve?
Unaona venye unaweza kuwa na pimple afu ikuwe cancer. The roots, right? This is very tribal and it is deep. Hapa hivi nikianzia inaweza leta so much, but it is a tribal war and we need to make peace. Wewe. As long as we are one color, we're supposed to make peace. Otherwise kutakuwa na a very, very bad days up ahead.
Uko na message gani kwake?
Niko na message si kwake, but to all of us. Oneness is you loving me, I loving you, because you're human. What I do, if you don't like it, leave it, but hate itatupeleka pabaya. And spiritually kenye Chebet na mimi tunapitia is something to do with the power of our tribes. All right. And she's spiritual in her own way. I'm spiritual in my own way. But when two very spiritual people clash, inakuwa deeper sana. And wenye walimuinitiate walimislead sana because she might not be able to fight this easily. All right. A week before Chebet called me, nilikuanga live. Kwetu wako kukuwa na blackout na sinanga ring light, mi hutumia tu bulb. All of a sudden kukakuwa giza completely, and nikanyongwa sana, and I started talking to people that maybe don't exist. And I fought for my life. They were there kwa hiyo live, watu wengi walikuwa kwa hiyo live, but hakuna mtu alielewa what was happening. Hizo ndio zile, those are my dark days when I'm asleep and then I can't breathe. I'm told, ama vitu zinaninyonga, zinaniambia ni confess something. Do you know unaweza kuwa initiated hata kwa dream? It is dangerous. Alright? So lazima ujue your stand, Yvonne.
Ulisema ali reach out to you help. What kind of help do you think you're able to offer her?
I can the kind of help mi ningeweza kumwambia hizo noises ziko kwake zinasema nini. It's just the way maybe pastor wenyu wanajua ku talk in tongues and kutafsiri. It's the same way here. I'll hear the voices. I'll be able to tell the spirits around this place. Yeah.
Do you see them? Do you hear them?
Yeah, hata huko kunazo. Yenye wote si spirits, they move.
Ukiongea hizi spirits zikuambia nini?
Mambo mob, kama leo nisikose kukuja ama kama nikuje, as in that is what guide me. Na ndio pia inakuguide. Lakini sasa sisi ama nyinyi hamjui ni hiyo. That is it. That is what guides. Wakati unasikia kujikuna unadhani tu ni mkono imejinua hivi. No, this is what guides you. This is the energy that your creator, ama the spirits that are within you, zenye zina feel nasikia kufanya hivi. This is normal. This is just amazing. All right. It is an act not everybody can do. And when you cannot lift your hands here, you go to hospital. No, you talk to this ability. You talk to everything. You command every energy in you. But hiyo sasa tulionyeshwa ni kuchizi. Like if I started owning my power here, mtacheka, itakaa drama.
Itakaa witchcraft.
Itakaa kama ni hizo. What is witchcraft? Witchcraft was a word that was used to ask a question. Witchcraft are you? You're a media personality. Witchcraft am I? I'm a healer. I use herbs. Everything that grows on this earth is what I use. So difference yangu na nyinyi mnatumia power ya mbinguni, mimi ya huku tu.
What are your fears?
I don't fear death because I know life is endless, and I'm sure I'm going to die old. I know my life. I dictate what I am because my creator is in alignment with me. Nikimwambia I want to die at 100, we are in alignment, we are connected.
Kuna mtu na look up to ambaye alilive the same.
I'm connected to my ancestors. They are on a higher realm than I am.
So no one inspires you?
Anybody who is happy inspires me. Mimi happiness. Inaona nikikuja ni realize uko sad. It hurts me. So I get inspired when I'm in a crew of very happy people. I don't care what makes you happy. As long as you're happy, I feel so good. And that is what I talk about every day. Life not being a punishment.
How often do you speak to spirits?
Every day. You're a spirit, I'm talking to you.
Well, not
the physical.
The physical.
Kama sahi. Every time. Hata sahi nikifikiria hivi. We are talking. Go on, you know. Yes.
You hear those voices?
Yeah. Kwani wakati unajiongelesha nini inakuwa iki happen?
You think ni spirits zinaongea? Sio thoughts zako?
Like, let me teach you something. Unaona when you're talking, personal talks ama monologues, zinakuaga in two ways, either you are the listener or unabonga sana, wewe unatoa tu siri. Unadhani unakuwa tu ukijipea hizo story? Hapana, hiyo unakuwa ukifeed something, right? Ndio maana unasikia haja ya kupeana tu story, and it is very dangerous when you're talking. It's very dangerous when you're talking to yourself but you're only answering questions. Hizo ndio zinaitangwa summoning spirits. Unaulizwa tu maswali, unajibu tu. Yeah.
Wakati umejipata deep into this spiritualism na maybe umefungua kitu yenye hukuwa supposed kufungua, you're saying you have no one to guide you yourself. People who are doing this supposed to look for someone to guide them?
Yeah, ni lazima ukue on a certain level ya kuweza kustop hata an approaching spirit. That is what hiyo ndio topic tuko.
Do you think you're able to stop on approaching you?
Yes, and that is why I was calling Chebet, so that we can stop those attacks. Kwa hivyo mimi naweza toa mapepo ulize hivyo.
Ala. Unaweza?
Yeah, mimi niko able to command a spirit from you. That is now my healing power.
Who do you think gave you that power?
The creator, the owner of me. Venye mimi nilipea mtoto wangu jina na nampea kalamu achore gari akuwe artist. My creator created me with my package, and that is why I told you when I was young I used to direct an all guide an all itoke kulilia kwa kijiji mtu asikufe. I take it to because my spirit and its spirit align. Naju all in Africa ni bad omen. Everything that has death has life. Everywhere there is black, there is white. Everywhere there is joy, there is sadness. So hata kama all inabeba death, it has life.
What is the one thing you would like to clarify? Because people have branded you so many things.
One thing I want to clarify is I am not a devil worshipper. I cannot worship the devil because the devil does not belong here. He belongs to hell, and here is not hell. I don't believe in Jesus Christ because he is not our way of worship, but I don't hate him, all right? Africans, ningetaka everybody ajue, like when I die today, the blessings I'll leave for my children ndio zitawabeba so many years to come. So let us embrace life. Msitake kwenda safari ya mbinguni, wacha tu tukae ndio tuweze kubless our generation, all right? And as much as we want to go to heaven, you cannot enjoy heaven kama umedharau hapa. Penda hapa and maybe heaven will accept you, all right? And one thing I'd like to tell everybody is life is not a punishment, and the creator would not have created hell for you. He's so much love. The only thing he creates for us is happiness and good life in the land of the living.
Do you want to go to heaven?
There is no heaven. No, there is no heaven. I wouldn't even want to go anywhere. No. I want here that I was brought. I was told here is home. Heaven is niao. Mimi heaven wacha tu nisiende hii season.
Nikisikiza story yako naona a young girl whose worldview was changed by people who were very cruel to you. Do you think watu ambao walikukosea when you were young, innocent, wali play a role to change your perception about belief, about God, about everything?
Hapana, not about God. The cruel society ilinifanya ni realize that I'm not alone. Hata wote wakienda, there are things that are very close to me. Even hata wakati ningeshika a doll hivi nilikuwa nasikia vizuri sana. So nika realize it's true, I'm never alone. Mimi nimekuwa kale katoto kanachezanga peke yake, lakini kuna tutoto tu wingi niko natu. So ili ni clarify it's true. Our physical wamenifanya vibaya, but I'm not alone. Nikiwa in my silent place nacheka, nafurahi, but nikitoka kwa watu nalia. All right? So nika realize kumbe my space has got niko na mbogi. So I started finding out like how will I teach people si lazima acknowledge na everybody. they kunao tu pahali wako na, you're not alone. In short, you're not alone. Yeah.
What makes you sad?
What makes me sad ni story kama hiyo ya Chebet, when somebody misunderstands something alafu it was supposed to help them, so you miss out that help. Inanimekegi very sad. Like I'm able to help you, but because you think you're not an African, you're a Christian, una choose kunitusi, yet shughuli yako ninaweza kusaidia kidogo na dakika kidogo sana. You know, it makes me sad when people don't understand how much the Creator loves the creation.
Is it important for you that people understand what you do?
It is, yeah, I would wish, unaona, understanding what I do might be not right. I want them to start overstanding, all right, and understanding. Yeah. And I work. But when you understand, you go digest everything Moyo said, utapata na kuna kaukweli. Those are the messages I get. Na kuna kaukweli hivyo. And that makes me very happy.
Uko very ornamental.
Yeah.
Do they have meanings?
Yeah. Hizi zote ni charms. Sasa tena shughuli itakuwa different.
Well,
everything is a charm. Everything that niko nayo is a charm. This represents my life path and my purpose. Each bead here is an affirmation. The black beads are manifestations. So hata nikikuwa kwa noma nishike hivi bead, it's going to talk to me. Najua ita sound funny. This is my balance, my life's balance. Unaona iko na red na black na white. I remember every time it reminds me after in every situation I must be able to balance. Mambo mbaya zisini overwhelm, mambo mzuri zisini overwhelm, nikae to balanced.
Kuna za rings kwa mikono.
This is a snake ring. Snake hata ni logo ya healthcare. Snake in African spirituality represents healing. Find out. Alafu this is a star. Alright, this is a star. Of course, I'm a Leo, I'm a star. And this is a very sacred ring. It represents my land, my color, my blood. That is completeness.
Yes, this one.
Gani. This one is an evil eye. Inaitwa the all-seeing eye. Inaitwa the all-seeing eye. Hizi ni roga kama niko nayo.
Una believe utarogwa?
Hapana, unaona wewe ukikuwa na bad vibe, it is very easy. Hebu niambie kama ningekuja kwa hii room ni watu see energy travel. Kuna mtu, you see in our community, kuna watu wanaitwa Agathe Mego. Mtu hata atakuangalia hivi utoke mashilingi. Saa mimi nikiwa na hizi wezi. Hizo ni, those are abilities that people have. Mtu anakuangalia hata mtoto wako anafanya, you know, these things are there. Yeah.
But you claim that there's the God who protects you. Is it not enough? You have to put on something else.
Nilikwambia huyo ni wenyu mwenye mtu.
Ule ulisema the creator of all.
The creator, we all have his energy. Na hiyo energy ndio iko kwa hizi vitu zote. I'm an African girl and all these beads zinatoka Africa. This is wood, this is, unaona. So ni creation ya nani? So this is more energy to an energy, all right? That is why I told you we are all connected.
Okay, kwa msiku naendanga wapi?
Sigonjekagi.
Ujai gonjeka ever?
Naboaga na kunywa mandimu.
Ginger.
Garlic. Garlic is very powerful. Unaona hizo vitu umesema garlic, ginger hizo. You see, everything that is very, very powerful on physical life, kwa spiritually ni very, very, very. Unaona hata nyinyi mkaezeka tu ka clove pale, ka garlic na mkape intentions, you will see things grow very well. No, wewe utasema ni uchawi na garlic wewe unakula, basi si usikule. Unaona? It's only that we are not teach spirituality. We are on that was the main purpose of the church, to take us away from our spirituality.
Kuulize, what do you do for a living? Uko na job? Do you go to work?
My ancestors were very rich. I'm from a very rich ancestry. So my purpose is to live. Mimi si Abraham wa kutoil.
Hauna employment?
Sina employment.
So una earn aje your daily bread every?
I'm from a very rich ancestry. My ancestors were rich, so I'm not poor. I own my power every day. I wear the victory of my ancestors' pain. Yes.
How does money come to your bank? Let me just ask that. Because ancestors did not for sure come and insert money in your bank account.
When I say ancestors, acha nikupe na example ya Bible. When first parents waliumba wa Bible, Adam na Eve waliwekwa kwa Garden of Eden. Sisi, our Garden of Eden was big. So I'm not from a poor family.
Right.
Yeah. Umeelewa sasa? Yeah.
Well, all right. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up this?
So my life is not a punishment.
Okay. You have your TikTok account, your Instagram account?
Yes. I have a TikTok account. I'm called Moyo the Intuitive Empath.
What does that mean, first of all?
Intuitive. I can read your intuitions. They are very empath. Me too ni mahuruma too. I have empathy. I carry it with me. All right. And that is why me niko ready to help even them that wananipiga sana. All right. Yeah. So that is. Alafu bado niko na jina ingine, the Stable Genius.
Niliona hiyo leo. Did you just change it
recently? No, it's been there, ni username.
Okay.
Yeah. So niko na Moyo the Intuitive Empath, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah. Huko kote.
Hizi vitu zote unafanya zina affect relationships zako maybe? And by relationships I mean romantic relationships where?
Yeah, I was in a relationship previously, and it is a relationship yenye nilikaa nikiwa unhappy because the parents walikuwa Christians, bishops, pastors. So haikuwa line sana, but hatukukosanaga. Luckily I left the relationship and I am in a stable, right now I'm in a good relationship whereby my partner understands me very well. Yeah, but I've lost unaona hata nikiwa TikTok kuna mtu anaweza pita aseme I like you, lakini we nikikumbuka wewe ni mrogi.
Watu wamekuita majina.
I feel bad because I even explained about mchawi. Mkitaka naweza waambia who is a mchawi and who is a mganga.
What do you think a mchawi is and a mganga?
Mchawi was an ogre called Awi in the coastal areas. Na Awi was very very dangerous. Na alikuwa unaona zile story unasikianga kulikuwa na jitu nini. These things, everything that's talked about existed, all right? So Awi alikuwa anasikia mothers ndio akakule watoto, all right? Na Awi alikuwa anasikia mothers at night. So in coastal areas, mchawi ni wale watu walikuwa wanaogopa Awi, kumcha Awi. All right? So mchawi is a very dangerous name. Atakuito, it is a very bad energy. They kill. All right? But mganga heals from hizo rats za mchawi. Hata sasa ukinipeleka kwa mchawi ama ukipeleka huyu kwa mchawi, mganga atamheal. All right? Lakini si kila mganga ako able to deal with Awi. Awi was very powerful. Personally, I can.
You can heal.
Yes.
So would you call yourself a mganga?
I call myself a healer. Yeah.
Okay. Has anyone in your family collided with you because of what you do? No. Do they support this?
No. My sisters, my family, when I'm around them, when I'm around my family, we don't talk about who I am. But when they start preparing for church, utasikia huyo akisema hivi hizi vitu ziko, right? But it hasn't been easy with them. I have even sisters who reach out to me. I'm a last born. I have sisters who reach out to me. Moyo mtoto wangu amekuwa moto, and I give remedies. But pia kuna watakagi kuwajulikane pia na wasaidiaga, but they're all good when it comes to family, but if it come to ways of worship, we don't talk about it. But mtu akipatwa na shida, even my own mom, mamangu akikuwa na a situation haelewi, she comes to me.
Friends wako, what they have to believe what you do?
No.
How does that work?
My friends.
And have you lost friends because of this?
I've lost so many friends. Nilikuwa kwa situation, I had a close friend, and huyu close friend akaniandikiaga akaniambia they are very very afraid because naweza chukua nyota ya mtu. I had a brawl with someone on TikTok, you know that story. So akaniambia according to this story hii nimeona wewe unaweza iba nyota. And let me tell you something, Yvonne, I told you when you're born, nilikwambia ulizaliwa kukiwa na the sun, the moon and the stars. You are the star. Nobody can take away your star. The only thing an enemy does is to dim your ability to light ama to shine. Okay, your star, na ukishika hivyo utajua I am the star. Hata sasa nikichafuka mikono ni mimi nitaoga. I am the star. And nobody, ile kitu mtafanya mtanifunga hapa na hapa nisiweze ku shine, but I'm still a star. Nikifunguka hapa I'll shine. So wakati aliniambia ati amesikia ninaweza iba nyota, I really felt ni sawa tu, and although she was very close to me, na it's alright. Ningesemaje akapika kwa hivyo. I've lost people that I loved. I've lost very many people, especially wakati nilikuwa loud. I still had another friend, alikuwa ananijua sasa kihome, but wakati nilikuwa loud akasema hizi taka kuambiwe na wao, niwe mkorino hizi ambiwa ataki ambiwe na watu wao, you know, such. Yeah, I've lost good people, but ni sawa. Na si wote walk.
All your friends see what I walk.
When it comes to my friends,
yeah,
I will correct them. Ama nitawaka kuna danger, I'll tell you, even we kesho don't go this place ama hivi. But trying to force these things, my closest friends hata si awako hiyo shughuli. Ni yule hata ataniuliza moyo subconscious ni nini inasikia kila saa. Hata Ochebet aliandika hapo, the one called Kate is a Christian, anaenda kanisa kila Sunday. The other one aliandika Doshi hata ajui hata yeye mwenyewe alikuwa ana find out about it bila mimi kujua, ili kisiri moyo, unaona. So see, when I'm a friend, I'm a friend. When I'm a lover, I'm a lover. When I'm a healer, ndio maana nikakwambia there is Wamoyo and there is Moyo. Yeah.
Okay. Uko na regrets zozote maybe kutake hii path ambaye saa zingine imefanya uka lose a lot of people?
Ile regrets niko nayo ni ku accommodate so many and then they manipulate even my own spirit. Alright, I am that person who will carry burdens of all of you. No, mimi stai utaisikia ninasumbuka, na si ati sisumbukagi, but I carry too much and I regret, but I would want to be able to know what to carry and what not to carry. I carry everything. Yeah. Even hata ile kitu inaniumiza mimi.
Nini nafanyanga ulia kwa life?
I cry mostly when I look at my journey, how my dad left me. I angal. Iyo my dad passed on, nikakuwa raped. Yani when I look at zile vitu nimepigana nazo nikiwa mdogo, I just cry and nasikia tu poa. Alafu pia heartbreakiwa, I cry. Crying therapy. So hata nikiwa lonely pia mimi cry. Unaona kila siku iko na energies. Kuna time tu nitafeel hivyo tu, I'll still cry.
Future yako unaona ikikaje?
Very bright. Very bright. Of course, hata si kufikiria it is a bright one. Yeah.
All right. I have no further remarks. That has been the story of Moyo. And you do not have to believe what she says. You do not have to fight her if you do not believe what she's saying. Choose your own path. You know what's right from wrong. and you are there to just learn whatever it is that she is doing. Just make your own judgment and choose your path. Thank you so much for staying with us till the end of the show. My name is Yvonne Kawira. Keep it to God.